All right, seventh graders, we're moving along in chapter 7 today. And you just have one set of directions that you need to work with. I'm going to go ahead and get this extra board out of here. And those directions tell you to factor the expression using the GCF. Well, it's very important that you understand that the GCF is the greatest common factor. And if you're not sure what a factor is a number that can go into another number. Like, for example, if I had the number 12, the factors of 12 would be 1 and 12, because they kind of form a partnership. 1 times 12 is 12. So those would be factors. 3 and 4 would be factors, because 3 times 4 is 12. So both 3 and 4 can evenly go into 12, just like 1 and 12 can go into 12. 6 and 2 would also be factors, because 6 times 2 is 12, and both 6 and 2 can also go evenly into 12. So those would be all the factors. And there's always a partner that goes with it. Even a number like 25, 5 is considered a factor, because 5 to the power of 2, 5 times 5 is 25. So it may have itself as a partner if it's a perfect square root, but that's just kind of a side note. So you're going to be looking at two numbers, like this first example, 15x plus 25. Your key is going to be the 15 and the 25. The x has to be part of your final answer, and we'll talk about that. But the key to finding the greatest common factor, you're thinking 15 and 25. And this is where, if you don't really know your multiplication and division tables very much, this is a great example of why that's very important, because it should be pretty basic for you as seventh graders to realize that the biggest number that can go into both 15 and 25 is 5. Other numbers can go into 15, other numbers can go into 25, but the biggest number that can go into both is 5. And that has to be the number you use. You have to use the biggest possible number. So now I'm going to set up 5. That's what's going to go outside my parentheses. My greatest common factor is what's going to go outside my parentheses. Now I think, well, 15 divided by 5, or technically what I'm doing is 15x divided by 5. Well, 15 divided by 5 is 3. But since it's actually 15x, I need to include the 3x there. Then I'm doing a positive 25 divided by 5, and a positive 25 divided by 5 is a plus 5. And that's factoring the expression using the greatest common factor. That's all you're doing. Let's look at another one. 4y minus 20. So I'm focusing on 4 and 20. And when I think about my multiplication and division tables, when I think of 4 and 20, I think of some different numbers that come to mind. They're both even, so they're both divisible by 2. But however, I do know that 4 times 5 is 20. So that tells me that 4 is my greatest common factor that can go into both 4 and 20. Now, 4y divided by 4 is essentially 4 divided by 4, and 4 divided by 4 is 1. But remember, I don't put a 1 in front of a variable. So the only thing I'm going to put is y. You'll get it incorrect if you put 1y. You should not be putting numbers in front of variables. Negative 20 divided by 4. Well, it's a negative divided by a positive, so it's going to be a negative answer. And 20 divided by 4 is 5. 4 times y minus 5. All right, we've got one more example that we're going to look at. 36c plus 24. Well, when I look at 36 and 24, first of all, they're both even. So they're both divisible by 2. I know that 4 times 6 is 24. I know that 4 times 9 is 36. So they're both divisible by 4. But I also know that 6 times 6 is equal to 36, and 6 times 4 is 24. So they're both divisible by 6. But if I keep on thinking, I also know that 12 times 2 is 24, and that 12 times 3 is 36. Now, if you ever were confused and there were just a lot of common factors, let me show you the best way how to do that. Work with the smallest number, 24, and come up with all your partners for 24. Well, you know that 1 times 24 is 24, so 1 and 24 are factors. You know that 6 times 4 is 24, so 6 and 4 are factors. You know that we've already talked about 2 and 12, because if something can go into it, it has a partner. 1 can go into it, so 1 times something has to equal 24. That's 24. We know that 6 can evenly go into 24. So 6 times something has to equal 24. That's 4. I know that it's an even number. It ends in 0, 2, 4, 6, or 8. So it's divisible by 2. 2 can go into 24 12 times. Depending on your numbers, you may sometimes have to do some scratch work. I'm not expecting a whole lot of that on your assignment, but you may need to. I also know that 3 can go into 24. 3 times something has to be 24. That's got to be 8. 3 times 8 is 24. And I think I have all the factors of 24. I'm going to say that with pretty good confidence, that I have all the factors that can be considered whole numbers of 24. Now I'm trying to figure out which one of these is the greatest one that will also work with 36. It has to work with both of them. So if I go to the biggest number, 24, well, 24 times 1 is 24. 24 times 2 is 48. 24 is not going to work with 36. My next biggest number is 12. I know that 12 times 2 is 24. 12 times 3 is 36. My greatest common factor is going to be 12. That's what's going to go outside my parentheses. None of these other numbers, like 2, 4, 6, or 3, that can also go into 36 will work. You have to use the greatest one. The only right answer with these instructions is 12. So I'm doing 36 divided by 12. Well, I know I already talked about 12 times 3 is 36. So 36 divided by 12 is 3, and my C just gets added into my answer. Then I do 24 divided by 12. A positive 24 divided by a positive 12 is a positive 2, and the D has to become part of my answer. And I end up with 12 being multiplied inside parentheses 3C plus 2D. That's factoring the expression using the greatest common factor. We'll talk to you later, 7th grade. Bye.